Marcus Wellington III stood at the tall windows of his office on the 42nd floor. The city looked small from up there. Cars moved like tiny toys on the streets below. People looked like ants walking around. He owned most of what he could see. His company made the software that ran in millions of computers around the world. The money kept coming in every day, every hour, every minute. But Marcus felt empty inside. He looked at his watch. It was 6:30 in the evening. Most people had gone home hours ago. His assistant had left at 5. The cleaning lady had come and gone. Still, Marcus stayed at his desk. He always stayed late. Work was easier than going home. At home, there was only silence. His phone buzzed. It was a text from Mrs. Chen, the woman who took care of his daughter, Emma. Emma finished her dinner. She is in her room doing homework. She asked when you will be home. Marcus typed back quickly. Tell her I will be home soon. But he knew he would not leave for another 2 hours. Maybe 3. He put his phone down and looked at the photo on his desk. It showed him, his wife Sarah, and Emma at the beach last summer. Emma was only 11 then, but she looked so happy. She was building a sand castle with her mother. Both of them were laughing. Sarah's hair was blowing in the wind. Her smile was bright and real. That was before everything changed. Before the cancer came back. Before the hospital visits started again. Before Sarah got so sick that she could not get out of bed. Before Emma stopped talking, Marcus picked up the photo and traced Sarah's face with his finger. She had been gone for 2 years now. 2 long, quiet years. Emma had not been the same since then. Neither had he. The doctor said Emma was fine. Her body was healthy. But something inside her had broken when her mother died. She barely spoke anymore. She did not play with friends. She did not laugh. She went to school, came home, did her homework, ate dinner, and went to bed. Every day was the same. Marcus had tried everything. He hired the best doctors in the city. He bought Emma anything she wanted. He sent her to a private school that cost more than most people made in a year. He got her tutors for every subject. He even hired a woman to teach her piano, thinking music might help. Nothing worked. Emma was like a ghost in their big house. She moved through the rooms without making a sound. Sometimes Marcus would come home and not even know she was there. The house felt cold and empty, even though it had 20 rooms and cost $8 million. Marcus put the photo back on his desk and looked at his computer screen. Numbers filled the page. His company had made another $50 million today. Tomorrow it would make more. But what was the point? What good was all this money if he could not make his daughter smile? He thought about the last time Emma had really talked to him. It was 3 months ago. She had asked him if people go to heaven when they die. He had not known what to say. He told her that her mother was in a better place now. Emma had nodded and walked away. She had not asked him anything important since then. Marcus closed his laptop and gathered his papers. Maybe tonight would be different. Maybe Emma would want to talk. Maybe they could watch a movie together or play a game. Maybe she would tell him about her day at school, but he knew it would be the same as always. Emma would say hello when he got home. She might tell him that school was fine. Then she would go to her room and close the door. Marcus took the elevator down to the parking garage. His driver was waiting with the black car. The drive home took 30 minutes through the busy city streets. Marcus looked out the window at all the people walking on the sidewalks. They looked like they had somewhere important to go. They looked like they had people waiting for them at home. Marcus envied them. The car pulled up to his house in the rich part of the city. The house was beautiful. It had a big garden and a swimming pool. Every room had expensive furniture and art on the walls. Sarah had picked out everything when they first bought the house. She had such good taste. She made everything look perfect. Now the house felt like a museum. Everything was still perfect, but it was cold and quiet. Marcus walked through the front door. Mrs. Chen met him in the hallway. She was a kind woman from Taiwan who had worked for their family for 5 years. She spoke English well, but with an accent. Emma liked her, but Mrs. Chen was not family. She was not Emma's mother. "How was Emma today?" Marcus asked. Mrs. Chen shook her head slowly. "Same as always, Mr. Wellington. She came home from school and went straight to her room. She did her homework. She ate dinner, but only a little bit. She is upstairs now." Marcus nodded. "Thank you, Mrs. Chen. You can go home now." Mrs. Chen gathered her purse and coat. "Mr. Wellington, maybe Emma needs to talk to someone. A doctor who helps children with their feelings, Waddy." We tried that, Marcus said. 3 different doctors. Emma would not talk to any of them. Mrs. Chen looked sad. That little girl needs something. I do not know what, but something is missing. After Mrs. Chen left, Marcus walked upstairs to Emma's room. The door was closed. He knocked softly. Emma, can I come in? Okay, came the quiet voice from inside. Marcus opened the door. Emma was sitting at her desk with her homework spread out in front of her. She looked up at him with her mother's dark eyes. Those eyes used to be full of joy and curiosity. Now they looked tired and sad. How was school today? Marcus asked. Fine, Emma said. She looked back at her homework. Marcus sat on the edge of her bed. The room was neat and clean. All of Emma's toys were put away. Her clothes were folded in the closet. Everything looked perfect, just like the rest of the house. What are you working on? He asked. Math, Emma said without looking up. Marcus wanted to say more. He wanted to ask her about her friends, her teachers, what she learned today. He wanted to know what she was thinking about, what made her sad, what might make her happy again. But the words would not come. Well, do not stay up too late, he finally said. Emma nodded but did not look at him. Marcus stood up and walked to the door. He turned back once more. Emma, you know I love you, right? For a moment, Emma's pencil stopped moving. I know, Dad, she said quietly. Marcus went to his own room and got ready for bed. But sleep did not come easily. He lay in the dark, thinking about his daughter, thinking about his wife, thinking about how money could buy almost anything, but it could not buy back the people you loved. It could not fix a broken heart. It could not bring back laughter to a house that had forgotten how to be happy. Outside his window, the city never slept. Lights twinkled in windows of other homes. Behind those windows were other families. Some were probably happy. Some were probably sad too. But Marcus felt alone in his big house with his quiet daughter. He did not know that everything was about to change. He did not know that in just a few days, a teacher from Guatemala would walk into their lives and show them both what they had been missing. He did not know that sometimes the most important gifts come in the smallest packages, from the most unexpected places. For now, there was only silence and the weight of all the money in the world that could not buy what he needed most. The call came on a Tuesday morning while Marcus was in a meeting with his lawyers. His phone kept buzzing until he finally answered it. Mr. Wellington, this is Dr. Patricia Hawkins from Riverside Academy, the voice said. Marcus knew the name. Dr. Hawkins was the head of Emma's private school. The school cost $40,000 a year. It had the best teachers money could buy. What can I do for you, Dr. Hawkins? Marcus asked, stepping out of the meeting room. I'm afraid we need to discuss Emma's situation, Dr. Hawkins said. Her voice sounded careful and professional. Could you come in this afternoon? Marcus felt his stomach drop. Is Emma in trouble? Is she hurt? No, nothing like that. But we do need to talk. 2 hours later, Marcus sat in Dr. Hawkins's office. The walls were covered with pictures of students who had graduated and gone to famous colleges. Everything in the room looked expensive and important. Dr. Hawkins was a thin woman with gray hair pulled back tight. She wore a blue suit and glasses that made her look very serious. She folded her hands on her desk and looked at Marcus with concern. Mr. Wellington, I want to start by saying that Emma is a bright child. Her test scores are excellent. She does all her homework. She never causes problems in class. Then what is the issue? Marcus asked. Dr. Hawkins sighed. The issue is that Emma does not participate in anything. She sits in the back of every classroom and never speaks. She eats lunch alone. She does not join any clubs or activities. Her teachers are worried about her. Marcus had heard this before from other schools. We have tried counseling. We have tried everything. I understand, Dr. Hawkins said, but I think Emma might benefit from a different environment. Something less formal. Somewhere she might feel more comfortable opening up. What are you suggesting? Dr. Hawkins pulled out a folder. There is a public school in Queens called Lincoln Middle School. I know it sounds unusual, but they have some excellent teachers there. They work with many children who have faced difficult situations. The environment is more relaxed, more diverse. Sometimes children respond better when they are not in such a pressure-filled environment. Marcus stared at her. You want me to send my daughter to a public school? I think it might help her, Dr. Hawkins said gently. Just temporarily, until she finds her voice again. Marcus wanted to say no immediately. His daughter belonged in the best schools. She deserved the finest education money could buy. Public schools were for other people's children, not for his Emma. But then he thought about Emma sitting alone in her room every night. He thought about how she never smiled anymore. He thought about how nothing they had tried was working. "I will consider it," he said finally. That evening, Marcus told Emma about the conversation. They were eating dinner at the long table in their dining room. Emma pushed her food around on her plate without eating much, the way she always did. "Dr. Hawkins thinks you might like a different school," Marcus said carefully. Emma looked up for the first time. "A different school?" "It is called Lincoln Middle School. It is in Queens. Dr. Hawkins says they have good teachers there." Emma was quiet for a long moment. Then she surprised him by asking, "Would there be other kids like me there?" "What do you mean?" "Kids who are sad sometimes," Emma said quietly. Marcus felt his heart break a little. "Maybe," he said. "Would you like to visit and see what it is like?" Emma nodded. It was the first time in months that she had shown interest in anything. The next day, Marcus drove to Queens. He had not been to this part of the city in years. The buildings were smaller here. The streets were busier. There were people from many different countries walking around. He heard Spanish and Chinese and other languages he did not recognize. Lincoln Middle School was a 3-story brick building that looked like it had been built 50 years ago. There was no fancy gate or beautiful garden like at Riverside Academy. Just a simple building with kids playing in the yard during recess. Marcus parked his expensive car and walked inside. The hallways were painted bright colors. Student artwork hung on the walls. There was noise and energy everywhere. Kids were laughing and talking and calling to their friends. It was nothing like Riverside Academy, where children walked quietly in straight lines. The principal, Mr. Rodriguez, met Marcus in the office. He was a young man with kind eyes and a warm smile. He spoke with a slight accent that Marcus could not place. "Welcome to Lincoln Middle School," Mr. Rodriguez said, shaking Marcus's hand. "Dr. Hawkins told me about Emma. I would love to show you around." As they walked through the school, Marcus saw things he had never seen at Emma's private school. Children of all colors and backgrounds learning together. A classroom where students were building robots. An art room where kids were painting murals on the walls. A music room where a group was practicing songs in Spanish. "We have students from 28 different countries here," Mr. Rodriguez explained. "Many of them have faced challenges in their lives. We believe that diversity makes us stronger." They stopped outside a classroom where Marcus could see a young woman teaching a group of 6th graders. She had long dark hair and was wearing a simple dress. She was showing the students how to make paper flowers while she told them a story in both English and Spanish. "That is Ms. Reyes," Mr. Rodriguez said. "She is one of our finest teachers. She came here from Guatemala when she was just 8 years old. She understands what it is like to feel different or lost." Marcus watched through the window as Ms. Reyes helped a shy boy with his flower. She was patient and gentle. When the boy finally got it right, she clapped her hands and smiled like he had just won a prize. The whole class cheered for him. "Ms. Reyes also runs our after-school art program," Mr. Rodriguez continued. "She believes that art can help children express feelings they cannot put into words." They continued the tour, but Marcus kept thinking about Ms. Reyes and the way she had made that shy boy smile. When they finished, Mr. Rodriguez walked Marcus back to his car. "What do you think?" he asked. Marcus looked back at the school building. It was not fancy or expensive, but there was something warm about it, something alive. "I would like to bring Emma to visit," Marcus said. The next morning, Marcus picked Emma up early from Riverside Academy. She was quiet during the drive to Queens, but she looked out the window with more interest than usual. When they arrived at Lincoln Middle School, Emma stayed close to Marcus's side. She looked small and nervous in her expensive uniform, next to all the other children in their regular clothes. Mr. Rodriguez gave them another tour, this time including Emma. They visited the art room, the library, and several classrooms. Emma did not say much, but Marcus could tell she was paying attention. Finally, they stopped at Ms. Reyes's classroom. The teacher was helping students work on a project about their families. Each child was making a poster with pictures and stories about where their families came from. Ms. Reyes looked up when they entered. Her eyes were warm and kind. "You must be Emma," she said with a gentle smile. "I am Ms. Reyes. Would you like to see what we are working on?" Emma nodded but stayed behind Marcus. Ms. Reyes walked over to them slowly. She did not push or try to force Emma to talk. Instead, she started telling them about the project. "We are learning about all the different places our families come from," she explained. "Some students have families from Mexico, some from China, some from Ireland. Every family has a story." She showed them a poster made by a girl named Maria. It had pictures of a small town in El Salvador and a story about how Maria's grandmother walked for days to cross the border. "What about your family, Emma?" Ms. Reyes asked gently. "Where do they come from?" Emma looked up at Marcus, then back at Ms. Reyes. "I do not know," she said quietly. "That is okay," Ms. Reyes said. "Maybe you could ask your dad to help you find out. Family stories are important. They help us understand who we are." For the first time in months, Emma asked Marcus a question. "Dad, where did our family come from?" Marcus realized he had never told Emma about their family history. He had been so focused on work and money that he had forgotten about the stories his own grandmother used to tell him. "Well," he said, kneeling down to Emma's level, "your great-great-grandfather came from Ireland. He was very poor, but he worked hard to build a better life for his family." Emma's eyes got a little brighter. "Really?" "Really," Marcus said. "And your mother's family came from Italy. They were farmers who grew tomatoes and grapes." Ms. Reyes smiled. "See, you do have a story, Emma. A beautiful story." As they prepared to leave, Emma turned to Ms. Reyes. "If I came to school here, could I make a poster about my family?" "Of course," Ms. Reyes said. "I would love to help you with it." On the drive home, Emma was more talkative than she had been in months. She asked Marcus more questions about their family. She wondered what Ireland and Italy looked like. She wanted to know if they still had relatives there. That evening, Marcus called Dr. Hawkins and told her they wanted to transfer Emma to Lincoln Middle School. Dr. Hawkins was surprised but supportive. "I think this might be exactly what Emma needs," she said, as Marcus hung up the phone. He felt something he had not felt in a long time. Hope. Maybe this simple school in Queens could help his daughter in ways that all his money could not. He did not know that he was about to learn some important lessons himself. Emma's first day at Lincoln Middle School was on a Monday in October. Marcus drove her there himself instead of sending the driver. Emma sat quietly in the passenger seat, wearing jeans and a sweater instead of her old school uniform. She looked nervous but also curious. "You do not have to stay if you do not like it," Marcus told her as they pulled up to the school. "I know," Emma said. Then she added something that surprised him. "But I want to try." Marcus walked Emma to her first class. Other parents were dropping off their children too. Most of them drove regular cars, not expensive ones like his. Some parents spoke Spanish to their kids. Others spoke Chinese or Arabic. Everyone seemed busy and friendly. Ms. Reyes was waiting in the classroom when they arrived. She wore a colorful dress and had paint under her fingernails. Her smile was warm and real. "Good morning, Emma," she said. "I saved a seat for you right here by the window. You can see the garden from there." Emma looked where Ms. Reyes pointed. There was indeed a small garden outside the window. Some older students were planting flowers there. "We grew those flowers from seeds," Ms. Reyes explained. "Sometimes beautiful things take time to grow." Marcus felt like she was talking about more than just flowers. "I will pick you up at 3, Marcus told Emma. "Okay, Dad," Emma said. She hugged him goodbye. It was the first hug she had given him in weeks. When Marcus returned at 3 o'clock, he expected to find Emma waiting quietly by herself, the way she always did at her old school. Instead, he had to look around for her. Finally, he spotted her in the art room. She was sitting at a table with 2 other girls working on something with clay. Marcus stood in the doorway and watched. Emma was actually talking to the other girls. Not much, but she was responding when they spoke to her. One of the girls, who had curly red hair, was showing Emma how to make a small clay bird. "Like this," the girl said, smoothing the clay with her fingers. "My name is Lucy. What is yours?" "Emma," his daughter said quietly. "That is a pretty name," said the other girl, who looked like she might be from Korea. "I am Hana. Do you want to make a bird too?" Emma nodded and started working with her own piece of clay. Ms. Reyes appeared beside Marcus. "She is doing well," she said softly. "She has been here all day and has not said she wants to go home once." "Really?" Marcus asked. "Really? She is a sweet girl. She just needs time to trust people again." Marcus watched Emma laugh when Lucy's clay bird fell apart. It was a small laugh, but it was real. He had not heard that sound in so long that he had almost forgotten what it was like. "Would you like to come in?" Ms. Reyes asked. "We are almost finished, but Emma might want to show you what she made." Marcus entered the art room. It was different from any classroom he had ever seen. The walls were covered with student artwork. There were supplies everywhere: paints, brushes, colored paper, glue, scissors. It looked messy, but it also looked alive. "Dad," Emma called when she saw him. "Look what I made." She held up a small clay elephant. It was not perfect, but she had clearly worked hard on it. She looked proud. "It is wonderful," Marcus said, and he meant it. "Ms. Reyes says we can paint them tomorrow after they dry." Emma said, "Can I stay for art club after school?" Marcus looked at Ms. Reyes, who nodded. "Art club meets 3 days a week. Emma is welcome to join any time." "Of course you can stay," Marcus said. As they prepared to leave, Emma said goodbye to Lucy and Hannah. She promised to sit with them at lunch tomorrow. Marcus could not believe this was the same quiet girl who had barely spoken to anyone in months. In the car, Emma actually talked about her day. She told Marcus about her math teacher, Mr. Johnson, who made learning fun with games. She talked about her English teacher, Mrs. Kim, who read stories with different voices for each character. She described the cafeteria food, which she said was not as good as Mrs. Chen's cooking but was still okay. "And Ms. Reyes says we are going to start a big art project next week," Emma said. "Everyone in the class will work together to paint a mural on the wall in the hallway." "That sounds exciting," Marcus said. "Can you help me research our family history tonight?" Emma asked. "Ms. Reyes says I can include it in my part of the mural." That evening, Marcus and Emma sat together at the kitchen table with Marcus's laptop. They looked up information about Ireland and Italy. They found pictures of the places where their ancestors had lived. Emma asked question after question. She wanted to know everything. "Your great-great-grandfather Patrick came from a small village called Doolin," Marcus told her, reading from a website. "It is right by the ocean. People there make music and tell stories." "What kind of music?" Emma asked. Marcus found a video of Irish folk music and played it for her. Emma listened with wide eyes. "It is beautiful," she said. "Do you think I could learn to play music like that?" "I think you could learn anything you want to learn," Marcus said. They spent 2 hours looking at pictures and reading stories. Marcus told Emma things about their family that he had not thought about in years. Stories his grandmother had told him when he was young. Stories about people who worked hard and loved their families and never gave up, even when life was difficult. "I want to paint the ocean in my part of the mural," Emma said. "The ocean that Patrick saw when he left Ireland." "I think that is a perfect idea," Marcus said. The next few weeks were like watching a flower bloom. Emma came home from school every day with new stories. She told Marcus about her friend Lucy, whose parents were both teachers. She talked about Hannah, who was helping her learn a few words in Korean. She described the mural project and how each student was painting something that represented their family. Emma started staying for art club 3 times a week. Marcus would pick her up at 5 o'clock and find her covered in paint, laughing with her new friends. Ms. Reyes was always there too, helping the children with their projects but also listening to their stories and problems. One day, Marcus arrived early to pick up Emma. He found her and Ms. Reyes working together on Emma's part of the mural. Emma was painting waves in different shades of blue and green. Ms. Reyes was showing her how to make the water look like it was moving. "Art is about feelings," Ms. Reyes was saying. "What do you feel when you think about your ancestor looking at the ocean?" Emma thought for a moment. "Scared," she said, "but also excited. Like he was scared to leave but excited about what might happen next." "That is exactly right," Ms. Reyes said. "Can you put those feelings into your painting?" Emma nodded and added some white paint to make the waves look more dramatic. As Marcus watched, he realized that Ms. Reyes was not just teaching Emma about art. She was teaching her how to understand and express her emotions. "Ms. Reyes," Emma said as she painted, "were you scared when your family came to America?" "Very scared," Ms. Reyes answered honestly. "I was about your age." "I did not speak English very well. I missed my friends in Guatemala. Everything was new and different." "But you were okay," Emma said. "Yes, I was okay. And do you know why?" Emma shook her head. "Because my family loved me, and because I found people here who cared about me too." Like my teachers who helped me learn English. Like my friends who accepted me even though I was different. Emma was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, "Do you think my mom would be proud of me for making new friends?" Ms. Reyes stopped what she was doing and looked at Emma with gentle eyes. "I think your mom would be very proud of you. You are brave and kind and creative. Those are all things that make parents proud." Emma smiled and went back to her painting. Marcus felt tears in his eyes. This was the first time Emma had mentioned her mother to anyone outside the family since Sarah died. When art club ended, Emma ran over to Marcus with paint in her hair and on her clothes. "Dad, look how much I got done today." The mural was taking shape. Emma's ocean waves looked beautiful next to Lucy's Irish countryside and Hannah's Korean mountains. Each child's story was different, but together they created something bigger and more beautiful than any one piece alone. "It looks wonderful," Marcus said. As they gathered Emma's things, Ms. Reyes approached Marcus. "Could I speak with you for a moment?" They stepped aside while Emma said goodbye to her friends. "Emma has made remarkable progress," Ms. Reyes said. "She participates in class now. She raises her hand to answer questions. She eats lunch with her friends instead of sitting alone." "I have noticed," Marcus said. "She is like a different child." "She is still the same child," Ms. Reyes corrected gently. "She just feels safe enough now to let people see who she really is." Marcus looked at this young woman who had worked such magic with his daughter. Ms. Reyes could not be more than 28 or 29 years old. She probably made less money in a year than Marcus made in a week, but she had done something for Emma that all his money and all the expensive doctors could not do. She had given Emma hope. "Thank you," Marcus said. "I do not know how to repay you for what you have done for Emma." Ms. Reyes smiled. "You do not need to repay me. Seeing Emma happy is payment enough." As they drove home, Emma chattered about her day. She told Marcus about the story they read in English class. She described the science experiment they did with volcanoes. She talked about how she and Lucy were planning to research Irish music together. "Dad," Emma said as they pulled into their driveway, "can we invite Lucy and Hannah over for dinner sometime? I want to show them our house." The invitation to dinner came 2 weeks later. Emma had been asking about it every day, so Marcus finally called the school and left a message for Ms. Reyes. When she called back that evening, her voice sounded surprised. "Mr. Wellington, that is very kind of you to invite me," she said, "but you really do not need to do that. Emma wants to show you our house," Marcus explained, "and I would like to thank you properly for everything you have done for her." There was a pause. "Are you sure? I do not want to intrude." "You would not be intruding," Marcus said. "Would Saturday evening work for you?" "Yes, that would be fine. Thank you." After he hung up, Marcus felt nervous again. He had invited plenty of people to dinner before. Business partners, clients, other wealthy families. But this felt different. This felt important. Saturday afternoon, Marcus found himself cleaning the house even though the cleaning lady had already come twice that week. He changed his clothes 3 times, finally settling on jeans and a regular shirt instead of his usual expensive suits. He wanted to look normal, not like he was trying to show off. Emma was excited all day. She picked flowers from the garden to put on the table. She helped Mrs. Chen plan the menu. She even cleaned her room without being asked. "I want Ms. Reyes to see my art supplies," Emma said, "and my books. And maybe we can show her the pool." "We can show her whatever you want," Marcus said. Ms. Reyes arrived at 6 o'clock. Marcus opened the door and felt his breath catch. She was wearing a simple blue dress and had her hair down. She looked beautiful. But more than that, she looked kind and real in a way that the women in his usual social circle did not. "Thank you for inviting me," she said, handing him a small bouquet of flowers. "These are from my mother's garden." "They are lovely," Marcus said. "Please come in." Emma ran to greet Miss Reyes and immediately started giving her a tour of the house. Marcus followed behind, seeing his home through new eyes. Everything looked so big and expensive. The paintings on the walls probably cost more than Ms. Reyes made in several years. The furniture was beautiful but cold. Even the flowers Emma had picked looked small in the huge crystal vases. "Your house is beautiful," Ms. Reyes said politely as Emma led her through room after room. "It is too big," Emma said matter-of-factly. "Sometimes I get lost, but I like my room." "Want to see it?" Emma's room was the warmest part of the house. It had her artwork on the walls and books scattered around. Her clay elephant from school sat on the dresser, now painted in bright colors. "This is wonderful, Emma," Ms. Reyes said, examining the elephant. "You are becoming quite an artist." They had dinner in the smaller dining room instead of the formal one. Mrs. Chen had made her famous chicken with vegetables and rice. As they ate, Ms. Reyes asked Emma about her other classes and her new friends. "Lucy is teaching me Irish words," Emma said. "And Hannah showed me how to write my name in Korean. Look." Emma grabbed a piece of paper and carefully wrote some Korean characters. Ms. Reyes admired her work and told her it looked very good. "What about you, Ms. Reyes?" Emma asked. "What was it like when you first came to America?" Ms. Reyes smiled. "It was very difficult at first. I was 8 years old, just like you when you started at Lincoln. I did not speak English. I missed my friends in Guatemala. Everything was different. The food, the weather, the way people dressed. Were you scared?" Emma asked. "Very scared, but my parents worked so hard to bring us here. My father worked 2 jobs. My mother cleaned houses during the day and went to school at night to learn English. They wanted my sister and me to have better opportunities." Marcus listened carefully. He had never really thought about what it would be like to move to a completely different country, especially as a child. "How did you learn English so well?" he asked. "My teachers helped me a lot," Ms. Reyes said. "There was one teacher, Mrs. Johnson, who stayed after school to help me with my homework every day. She never made me feel stupid for not knowing things. She was patient and kind." "Is that why you became a teacher?" Emma asked. "Yes," Ms. Reyes said. "Mrs. Johnson changed my life. I wanted to do the same thing for other children." After dinner, Emma insisted on showing Ms. Reyes the pool and the garden. It was a warm evening and they sat outside while Emma picked more flowers. "This is a beautiful home," Ms. Reyes said to Marcus as they watched Emma chase butterflies. "Thank you," Marcus said. "But I have to admit it feels different with Emma happy again. Before it was just a big empty house. Emma is a special girl," Ms. Reyes said. "She has been through so much, but she is strong. Like her father." Marcus felt his cheeks get warm. "I do not feel very strong most of the time. I had no idea how to help her after Sarah died. I threw money at the problem, but that did not work." "Grief is not something money can fix," Ms. Reyes said gently. "But love can help. And Emma knows you love her." They sat in comfortable silence for a while watching Emma play. The sun was setting and the garden looked peaceful in the soft light. "Can I ask you something?" Marcus said. "Of course." "Why do you stay at Lincoln Middle School? I mean, with your education and experience, you could probably get a job at a private school that pays much better." Ms. Reyes thought for a moment. "I could, yes. But the children at Lincoln need me more. Many of them come from families who are struggling. Some are immigrants like I was. Some have lost parents like Emma has. Some are just trying to figure out where they belong." She paused and picked a flower from the bush beside her. "At a private school, the children already have many advantages. At Lincoln, I can make a real difference. But it must be hard financially," Marcus said. "Teaching does not pay very much." Ms. Reyes shrugged. "I have enough. I share an apartment with my sister. I take the bus to work. I buy my art supplies when they are on sale. It is not a fancy life, but it is a good life." Marcus thought about his own life. He had more money than he could spend in 10 lifetimes, but until recently he had not felt like he was living a good life. "I would like to help," he said suddenly. "With the art program, I mean. Emma loves it so much, and I can see how much good you are doing." Ms. Reyes looked surprised. "That is very kind, but we manage okay." "I saw the art room," Marcus said. "The supplies are old. The brushes are worn out. The paints are almost empty. Let me buy new supplies for the program." "Mr. Wellington, that is too generous." "Please," Marcus said. "It would make me happy to help. And Emma would love to know that her father is supporting something she cares about." Ms. Reyes looked at him for a long moment. "Okay," she said finally. "But only supplies. I do not want you to feel like you have to give money to the school. Just supplies." Marcus agreed. Emma ran over to them carrying a handful of flowers. "These are for you, Ms. Reyes," she said. "To take home." "Thank you, sweetheart," Ms. Reyes said. "They are beautiful." As the evening ended, Marcus drove Ms. Reyes home. She lived in a small apartment building in a neighborhood he had never visited before. The buildings were old but well kept. People sat on stoops talking with their neighbors. Children played in the street. "Thank you for a lovely evening," Ms. Reyes said as he stopped in front of her building. "Emma is lucky to have a father who cares so much about her happiness." "I think we are both lucky to have you in our lives," Marcus said. Ms. Reyes smiled and got out of the car. Marcus watched her walk to her building and wave goodbye before going inside. As he drove home, he realized that he felt happier than he had in a long time. The next Monday, Marcus went shopping for art supplies. He bought everything he could think of: new paints, brushes, paper, clay, glue, scissors, colored pencils. He bought so much that it filled his entire car. When he arrived at the school, Ms. Reyes was in her classroom preparing for the day. She looked shocked when she saw him carrying box after box of supplies. "Mr. Wellington, this is too much," she said. "Is it?" Marcus asked. "I want the children to have the best materials to work with." Ms. Reyes opened one of the boxes and pulled out a set of professional quality paintbrushes. Her eyes lit up. "These are wonderful," she said softly. "Then it is not too much," Marcus said. As they unpacked the supplies together, Marcus found himself enjoying the simple task. Ms. Reyes told him about each child in her classes and what they were working on. She showed him Emma's latest painting, a beautiful landscape with mountains and rivers. "She has real talent," Ms. Reyes said. "But more than that, she has found her voice again. Art has given her a way to express her feelings." "You gave her that," Marcus said. "You saw something in her that no one else did." Ms. Reyes shook her head. "It was always there. She just needed someone to believe in her." As Marcus left the school that day, he realized that something was changing inside him too. For the first time in years, he was thinking about something other than work and money. He was thinking about Emma's happiness. He was thinking about the children at the school who needed help. And he was thinking about Ms. Reyes and the way she made him want to be a better man. He did not know it yet, but he was falling in love. Not just with Ms. Reyes, but with the idea of using his resources to make a real difference in the world. For the first time, his wealth felt like it could be a tool for good instead of just numbers in a bank account. But he also did not know that some people in his world would not understand these new feelings. Some people would think he was making a mistake. Soon, the trouble started at the charity gala. It was a fancy event at the city's most expensive hotel, where rich people gathered to donate money and be seen doing good things. Marcus had been going to these events for years, but this time felt different. This time he brought Emma with him. Emma wore a simple black dress that Ms. Reyes had helped her pick out during a shopping trip the week before. She looked beautiful and confident in a way that made Marcus proud. But as soon as they walked into the hotel ballroom, Marcus could feel people staring. "Marcus," called out Victoria Ashford, one of the city's most powerful socialites. She walked over with her usual fake smile, followed by her husband Robert. "We heard the most interesting rumors about you." "What kind of rumors?" Marcus asked, keeping his voice polite. "That you have been spending time at a public school in Queens," Victoria said with a laugh. "And that Emma is actually attending there. Surely that cannot be true." Emma moved closer to Marcus's side. She could sense that something was wrong. "It is true," Marcus said calmly. "Emma loves her new school." Victoria's smile faltered. "Oh my. Well, I suppose everyone goes through phases. When will she be returning to Riverside Academy?" "She will not be returning," Marcus said. "She is happy where she is." Robert Ashford frowned. "Marcus, you cannot be serious. What will people think?" "Your daughter belongs with children of her own class." "Her own class?" Marcus repeated. "You mean children who are kind and creative and accepting?" "Yes, she does belong with children like that." More people had started to gather around them, listening to the conversation. Marcus recognized most of them: business partners, clients, people he had known for years. All of them looked shocked. "But Marcus," said Helen Crawford, another society woman, "surely you understand the importance of proper connections. Emma's future depends on the relationship she makes now." "Emma's future depends on her being happy and confident," Marcus replied. "And she is both of those things at her new school." The conversation was interrupted when the event organizer called everyone to dinner. Marcus and Emma found their assigned table, but the whispers followed them. Throughout the meal, Marcus could hear people talking about him in low voices. "He has lost his mind," someone said. "It must be grief," said another. "He has not been the same since Sarah died." "That poor child," whispered a third voice. "She will never get into a good college now." Emma heard it too. Marcus could see her getting smaller in her chair with each comment. Her confidence from earlier in the evening was disappearing. After dinner, Marcus was cornered by 3 members of his company's board of directors. "Marcus, we need to talk," said Charles Bennett, the chairman of the board. This situation with Emma's schooling is becoming a problem. How is my daughter's education a problem for the company? Marcus asked. People are questioning your judgment, said board member Patricia Wells. If you make such poor decisions about your own family, how can they trust you with their investments? Poor decisions? Marcus felt his anger rising. My daughter is happier than she has been in 2 years. How is that a poor decision? The third board member, David Chen, shook his head. Marcus, you are worth over $2 billion. Your daughter should be attending the finest schools, mixing with the right people. This public school experiment makes you look unstable. I do not care how it makes me look, Marcus said firmly. I care about Emma's well-being. Then think about her future, Charles said. She will never get into Harvard or Yale coming from a public school in Queens. You are limiting her opportunities. Marcus looked across the room at Emma, who was sitting alone at their table looking sad and overwhelmed. I think this conversation is over, he said. The real crisis came 2 weeks later. Marcus was in his office when his assistant knocked on the door. She looked worried. Mr. Wellington, there is a woman here from Immigration Services. She says she needs to speak with you about someone named Sophia Reyes. Marcus's heart sank. He told his assistant to send the woman in. Agent Jennifer Rodriguez was a serious-looking woman in a dark suit. She sat across from Marcus's desk and opened a file folder. Mr. Wellington, I understand you have been in contact with Sophia Reyes, a teacher at Lincoln Middle School. Yes, Marcus said carefully. She is my daughter's teacher. Ms. Reyes and her family are facing deportation, Agent Rodriguez said. There was an error in their paperwork renewal. They have 30 days to leave the country. Marcus felt like the world had stopped spinning. An error? What kind of error? Their lawyer filed the wrong forms. By the time the mistake was discovered, it was too late to fix it properly. The family will need to return to Guatemala and reapply from there. How long would that take? Could be years, Agent Rodriguez said. There is no guarantee they would be approved to return. Marcus thought about Emma and how much Ms. Reyes meant to her. He thought about all the children at the school who depended on her. He thought about Ms. Reyes herself, who had built her entire life in America. What can be done? He asked. Legally, not much. Unless someone with significant influence were to intervene. Someone who could vouch for the family's importance to the community. Agent Rodriguez left her card and departed. Marcus sat alone in his office, staring out the window at the city below. He knew what he had to do, but he also knew what it would cost him. He made phone calls for the rest of the day. He spoke to lawyers, politicians, and immigration officials. He used every connection he had. By evening, he had a plan, but it would require him to go public with his support for the Reyes family. That night, Marcus sat Emma down in the living room. He explained the situation as gently as he could. Emma's eyes filled with tears. Ms. Reyes has to go away? Not if I can help it, Marcus said. But Emma, if I try to help her, some people might not like it. They might say mean things about our family. Emma wiped her eyes. What kind of mean things? They might say that I am making bad choices. They might not want to do business with me anymore. Some of our friends might stop talking to us. Emma was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked up at Marcus with determination in her eyes. Dad, Ms. Reyes saved me. When I was sad all the time and could not talk to anyone, she helped me feel better. She helped me make friends. She taught me that it is okay to be different. I know, Marcus said. If people do not like us for helping her, then they are not really our friends. Emma continued. Real friends would understand. Marcus felt proud of his daughter. At 12 years old, she understood something that many adults did not. You are absolutely right, he said. Real friends would understand. The next morning, Marcus called a press conference. He stood in front of reporters and television cameras and told them about Sophia Reyes. He talked about what an excellent teacher she was and how much she meant to the children at Lincoln Middle School. He talked about Emma's transformation and how Ms. Reyes had helped his daughter heal from grief. Immigration is a complex issue, Marcus said to the cameras, but when someone has contributed so much to our community, when someone has touched so many lives in such a positive way, we should be doing everything we can to keep them here, not looking for reasons to send them away. The story was on the evening news that night. By the next morning, it was in all the newspapers. Marcus's phone rang constantly with reporters wanting more information. The reaction from his social circle was swift and harsh. Victoria Ashford called to tell him he was embarrassing himself and his family. 3 business partners canceled meetings with him. Charles Bennett called an emergency board meeting to discuss Marcus's erratic behavior. But there was another reaction too. Parents from Lincoln Middle School started calling to thank him. Other teachers shared their own stories about Ms. Reyes and what she meant to their children. Students began organizing petitions to keep her in the country. Emma came home from school excited. "Dad, everyone is talking about what you did." "Lucy's mom said you are a hero. Hannah's parents want to invite us for dinner to say thank you." Marcus smiled, but he was worried. The board meeting was tomorrow, and he knew it would not go well. The meeting was worse than he expected. The board members were furious. "You have made the company look foolish," Charles Bennett said. "Our stock price dropped 2% today because investors think you are unstable. You are supposed to be a businessman, not a social activist," added Patricia Wells. "This is not what shareholders expect from a CEO." Marcus listened to their complaints and criticisms. Then he stood up and looked around the table at these people he had worked with for years. "You are right," he said quietly. "This is not what you expect from a CEO. You expect someone who only cares about profits and stock prices. Someone who does not get involved in other people's problems." He paused and thought about Emma's words from the night before. "But I am not that person anymore," Marcus continued. "I used to think that success meant having the most money and the most power. But my daughter taught me something important. She taught me that real success means using what you have to help other people." "Marcus, be reasonable," David Chen said. "You have a responsibility to the company." "Yes, I do," Marcus agreed. "I have a responsibility to make sure this company stands for something good. I have a responsibility to use our success to make the world a better place." The room was silent. The phone call came at 6 in the morning, 3 days after the board meeting. Marcus was making coffee when his lawyer called with news. "The immigration hearing has been moved up," Robert Kim said. "It is tomorrow at 2 o'clock. The judge wants to review the case quickly because of all the media attention." Marcus felt his stomach tighten. Is that good or bad? It could go either way. The good news is that your public support has generated a lot of positive attention for the family. The bad news is that some people are pushing back hard. They want to make an example of the case. What do you mean? Some politicians are saying that wealthy people should not be able to buy special treatment for immigrants. They are claiming this is about privilege, not justice. Marcus understood. By speaking out, he had made the case political. Now Sophia and her family were caught in the middle. "What can I do?" Marcus asked. "Show up tomorrow. Bring character witnesses. And pray that the judge sees this as a human story, not a political one." That morning, Marcus drove to Lincoln Middle School. He needed to see Sophia and let her know what was happening. When he arrived, he found the school buzzing with activity. Students were making signs that said, "We love Ms. Reyes and keep our teacher here." Parents were organizing carpools to the courthouse for the hearing. Marcus found Sophia in her classroom, trying to teach normally, despite everything going on around her. She looked tired and stressed, but she was still smiling for her students. "Mr. Wellington," she said when she saw him, "you should not have come here. This has already caused you enough trouble." "I came to tell you that the hearing is tomorrow," Marcus said, "and to ask if there is anything else I can do." Sophia shook her head. "You have done so much already, too much. I heard about your problems with your company's board." "That is not your concern," Marcus said. "Emma needs you. The school needs you. The community needs you. But my business will survive," Marcus interrupted. "But I am not sure Emma will recover if she loses another important person in her life." Sophia's eyes filled with tears. "I never wanted any of this to happen. I just wanted to teach children and help them learn. And that is exactly why you should stay," Marcus said. That afternoon, Marcus received an unexpected visitor. Charles Bennett, the chairman of his company's board, appeared at his office without an appointment. "Charles," Marcus said, surprised. "What are you doing here?" The older man looked uncomfortable. "I came to talk about yesterday's meeting. About the things we said. What about them?" Charles sat down heavily in the chair across from Marcus's desk. "My grandson goes to a public school in Brooklyn. Not by choice. His parents moved there when my son lost his job last year. David is struggling in school, having trouble reading." Marcus listened, wondering where this was going. "His teacher reminds me a lot of this Sophia Reyes woman," Charles continued. "She stays late to help him. She buys books with her own money. She never makes him feel stupid even when he gets frustrated." Charles looked out the window at the city below. I have been thinking about what you said yesterday, about using our success to make the world better. Maybe you are not the one who has lost perspective. Maybe the rest of us have. What are you saying, Charles? I am saying that I want to withdraw my objection to your actions, and I want to attend the hearing tomorrow to support the Reyes family. Marcus was shocked. Are you sure? This could affect your reputation, too. Charles smiled for the first time in days. At my age, reputation matters less than doing the right thing. Besides, if we lose a few narrow-minded investors, maybe we will gain some better ones. The next day, the courthouse was packed. Marcus arrived early with Emma, who had insisted on missing school to be there. They sat in the front row with Sophia's family, her parents, her sister, and her young nephew. Sophia looked nervous but dignified in a simple blue suit. Her lawyer sat beside her, shuffling through papers. Across the aisle, the government lawyer looked stern and prepared. As people filed into the courtroom, Marcus was amazed by who showed up. There was Charles Bennett, as promised. There was Mr. Rodriguez, the principal of Lincoln Middle School. There were dozens of parents and students from the school. There was Mrs. Johnson, the teacher who had helped Sophia learn English when she first came to America. But the biggest surprise was when Victoria Ashford walked in. She had been one of Marcus's harshest critics at the charity gala. She saw Marcus looking at her and nodded slightly before taking a seat near the back. Judge Patricia Gonzalez called the hearing to order. She was a middle-aged Latina woman with kind but serious eyes. She looked around the packed courtroom with interest. This is quite a turnout, she observed. Before we begin, I want to make something clear. This court makes decisions based on law and facts, not on public opinion or media attention. However, I will allow character witnesses to speak, as they may provide relevant information about the respondent's ties to the community. The government lawyer spoke first. He argued that the Reyes family had failed to follow proper procedures. He said that allowing them to stay would encourage others to ignore immigration laws. He painted their case as an example of wealthy privilege trying to influence the justice system. The law must apply equally to everyone, he concluded. We cannot make exceptions simply because someone has a powerful advocate. Then Sophia's lawyer presented their case. He explained that the family had tried to follow all the rules. He showed that the mistaken paperwork was made by their previous lawyer, not by them. He demonstrated that the Reyes family had been model residents who contributed greatly to their community. My client came to this country as a child, the lawyer said. She has known no other home. She has dedicated her life to educating American children. Sending her away would not serve justice. It would be a loss for everyone. Judge Gonzalez then called for character witnesses. One by one, people stood up to speak about Sophia. Mr. Rodriguez talked about how test scores had improved in Sophia's classes. Mrs. Johnson described how Sophia had overcome language barriers to become an excellent teacher. Parents told stories about how Sophia had helped their children with more than just academics. She had helped them with confidence, creativity, and compassion. When it was Marcus's turn to speak, he stood up slowly. The courtroom was completely quiet. Your Honor, my name is Marcus Wellington. I'm a businessman and the father of one of Ms. Reyes's students. He paused and looked at Sophia. A year ago, my daughter Emma was struggling with grief after losing her mother. She had stopped talking, stopped making friends, stopped enjoying life. Marcus's voice grew stronger as he continued. 3 months ago, Emma started attending Lincoln Middle School. Within weeks, Ms. Reyes had helped her find her voice again. Not through expensive therapy or special programs, but through patience, kindness, and genuine care. He turned to face the judge directly. I have never met a teacher more dedicated to her students. I have never seen someone work so hard, with so few resources to make such a big difference. Ms. Reyes represents the best of what America can be, a place where people who work hard and care about others can build a good life and contribute to their community. Marcus paused, thinking about everything that had led to this moment. I am here not because I have money or influence, but because I'm a father who watched a remarkable teacher save his daughter's spirit. America needs more people like Sophia Reyes, not fewer. When Marcus sat down, Emma squeezed his hand. Her eyes were shining with pride. The most surprising testimony came from Victoria Ashford. When she stood up, people in the courtroom whispered in confusion, Your Honor, my name is Victoria Ashford. I must admit I was initially critical of Mr. Wellington's support for Ms. Reyes. I thought he was making a mistake. Victoria's voice was steady but emotional. But this week I took the time to visit Lincoln Middle School and see for myself what Ms. Reyes does every day. I watched her teach a room full of children from many different backgrounds. I saw how she made each child feel important and capable. She looked directly at Sophia. I realized that I had never seen teaching like that at any of the expensive private schools my own children attended. Miss Reyes has a gift that cannot be bought or learned from textbooks. She has the ability to see the best in every child and help them see it too. Victoria sat down to surprise murmurs from the crowd. Finally, Judge Gonzalez called for Sophia herself to speak. Sophia stood up slowly, her hands shaking slightly. Your Honor, I came to this country when I was 8 years old. My parents brought me here because they believed America was a place where hard work and good intentions mattered, more than where you were born or how much money you had. Sophia's voice grew stronger as she spoke. I became a teacher because I wanted to give back to the country that gave me so much. Every day I try to help children discover their own potential, the way my teachers helped me discover mine. She paused and looked around the courtroom at all the faces watching her. If you allow me to stay, I promise to continue working as hard as I can to help children learn and grow. If you decide I must leave, I will understand, but I will always be grateful for the chance I had to make a difference here. Judge Gonzalez asked both lawyers if they had anything to add. 3 months after the hearing, Marcus received a phone call that would change everything again. This time it was good news. I want to propose something that will change how our company operates, Marcus began. I want to create the Wellington Foundation for Educational Excellence. The board members looked at each other with surprise. The foundation would focus on supporting public education, Marcus continued. We would fund teacher training programs, provide scholarships for educators, and support schools in underserved communities. Patricia Wells raised her hand. How much money are we talking about? I am proposing to donate $50 million from my personal wealth to start the foundation. But more than that, I want the company to commit to donating 5% of our annual profits to education initiatives. The room was silent. David Chen finally spoke. Marcus, that is a significant financial commitment. What is the business justification? Marcus had expected this question. The business justification is simple. We need educated workers for our technology company. We need creative thinkers and problem solvers. The public education system produces those people, but only when it is properly supported. He pulled out a folder of research he had gathered. Companies that invest in education see long-term benefits in the quality of their workforce. But more than that, we have a responsibility to the communities where we do business. Charles Bennett leaned forward. What would this foundation actually do? For starters, it would create the Sophia Reyes Teacher Development Center at Lincoln Middle School, Marcus said. Sophia would run the program while completing her master's degree. New teachers would come to Lincoln to learn from experienced educators like her. Marcus could see that some board members were intrigued. We would also provide funding for art and music programs that have been cut due to budget constraints. We would offer scholarships for students who want to become teachers. And we would create partnerships between our company and schools to provide real-world learning experiences. The discussion continued for 2 hours. In the end, the board voted to support Marcus's proposal. It was not unanimous, but it was enough. That evening, Marcus called Sophia with the news. We did it, he said. The foundation is approved. You can stay at Lincoln and still advance your career. Sophia was quiet for so long that Marcus thought the call had been disconnected. Sophia, are you there? I am here, she said, and he could hear that she was crying. Marcus, I do not know what to say. Say you will run the Teacher Development Center, Marcus said. Yes, Sophia said through her tears. Yes, of course. The next few months were busy with planning and preparation. Marcus found himself spending more and more time at Lincoln Middle School, working with Sophia and Mr. Rodriguez to design the new program. He discovered that he loved being involved in the details of education, figuring out how to train teachers, how to measure student progress, how to create programs that really worked. He also discovered that he loved spending time with Sophia. Their work meetings often turned into long conversations about education, about life, about their dreams for the future. Marcus found himself looking forward to these talks more than anything else in his day. Emma noticed the change in her father. Dad, you seem happier lately, she said one evening as they worked on homework together. Do I? Marcus asked. Yes, you smile more. And you talk about school stuff all the time now. Emma was right. Marcus was happier than he had been in years. He was doing work that felt meaningful. He was part of a community that valued the same things he was learning to value, and he was falling in love with a woman who shared his newfound passion for making a difference. The Teacher Development Center opened in January. Sophia was officially named the director, with a salary that was double what she had been making as a regular teacher. The program brought 12 new teachers to Lincoln Middle School for intensive training in working with diverse student populations. The opening ceremony was held in the school gymnasium, which had been decorated with artwork created by the students. Emma had painted a special mural for the occasion. It showed teachers and students from many different backgrounds working together under a bright rainbow. Marcus spoke at the ceremony, but his speech was different from the formal presentations he usually gave at business events. This time he spoke from his heart. 6 months ago, I thought success meant having the most money and the biggest office, he said to the crowd of teachers, parents, and students. But my daughter and her teacher taught me something important. Real success means using whatever talents and resources you have to help other people achieve their dreams. He looked at Sophia, who was sitting in the front row with Emma and the other teachers. Education is not just about teaching facts and figures. It is about helping children discover who they are and who they can become. The teachers who will train here will learn that lesson, and they will carry it to schools across the country. After the ceremony, there was a reception with food and music. Marcus found himself standing with Sophia on the side of the gymnasium, watching Emma dance with her friends. She looks so happy, Sophia said. She is happy, Marcus agreed. Thanks to you, Sophia shook her head. She was always capable of happiness. She just needed to feel safe enough to show it. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the celebration around them. Finally, Sophia spoke again. Marcus, can I ask you something? Of course, and why did you really do all this? The foundation, the teacher center, fighting for my family's immigration case. Was it just for Emma? Marcus thought about how to answer. He could give her the safe response, that it was all about Emma's education and well-being. But he was tired of hiding his feelings. It started because of Emma, he said honestly. But it became about more than that. It became about you. Sophia looked at him with surprise. About me? Sophia, you changed my life. Not just Emma's life, but mine too. You showed me what it means to care about something bigger than yourself. You made me want to be a better man. Sophia's cheeks turned pink. Marcus, I know this is complicated, Marcus said quickly. I know we come from very different worlds. I know there are people who would not approve. But I need you to know how I feel. Sophia was quiet for a long moment. Around them, the party continued. Children laughed and played. Parents talked and shared food. Teachers discussed lesson plans and student progress. I care about you too, Sophia said finally. More than I should, probably. Why more than you should? Because you are Emma's father. Because you are my boss now, in a way. Because people already talk about us. Marcus stepped closer to her. Do you care what people say? Sophia looked across the room at Emma, who was showing her clay sculptures to a group of new teachers. I care about Emma. I care about doing what is right for her. What if what is right for Emma is for the adults in her life to be happy? Marcus asked. Before Sophia could answer, Emma ran over to them, breathless from dancing. Ms. Reyes. Dad, come dance with us, she said, grabbing both of their hands. As Emma pulled them toward the dance floor, Marcus caught Sophia's eye. She smiled at him, a real warm smile that made his heart race. They danced together, the three of them, along with dozens of other families from the school community. Marcus realized that this was what happiness felt like. Not the isolated satisfaction of financial success, but the warm, connected joy of being part of something bigger than yourself. Later that evening, after the party ended and the school was cleaned up, Marcus drove Sophia home. Emma had fallen asleep in the back seat. Thank you, Sophia said as they pulled up to her apartment building. For what? For everything. For believing in me. For creating opportunities I never dreamed possible. For being willing to fight for what you believe in. Marcus turned off the car engine and looked at her. Sophia, I want to ask you something, but I want you to think about it before you answer. What is it? I want to know if you would like to have dinner with me. Just the two of us. Not as Emma's father and teacher. Not as foundation director and sponsor. Just as Marcus and Sophia. Sophia looked back at Emma, who was sleeping peacefully in her car seat. "What about Emma?" "Emma wants us to be happy," Marcus said. "She told me so. She said that since her mother died, she worries about me being lonely. She likes seeing me smile again." Sophia was quiet for a long time. Finally, she nodded. "Yes," she said softly. "I would like to have dinner with you." As Marcus drove home that night with Emma still sleeping in the back seat, he felt like his life was finally beginning to make sense. He had found work that mattered. He had found a community that welcomed him. And he had found love in the most unexpected place. He did not know what challenges lay ahead. He did not know how his relationship with Sophia would develop, or how Emma would handle having another important woman in her life. But for the first time since Sarah's death, Marcus felt hopeful about the future. Some gifts, he was learning, came wrapped in the most ordinary packages. Sometimes the most extraordinary love grew from the simplest acts of kindness. And sometimes, if you were very lucky, helping someone else find their dream helped you discover your own. "Mr. Wellington, this is Dr. Elizabeth Warren from Columbia University," the voice said. "We would like to offer Miss Sophia Reyes a position in our education program." 1 year later, Marcus stood in the same gymnasium where the Teacher Development Center had opened. But today was different. Today, the room was decorated with white flowers and soft lights. Today, he was getting married. The past year had been full of changes, challenges, and unexpected joys. Marcus and Sophia's relationship had grown slowly and carefully. They had taken their time, making sure that Emma was comfortable with every step. They had faced questions and criticism from some people, but they had also found support in places they never expected. Emma had been the one to suggest that Sophia move in with them. "Dad," she had said one evening 6 months ago, "Sophia is here all the time anyway, and her apartment is too small for all her art supplies. Why does she not just live with us?" Marcus had been surprised by the suggestion. "Are you sure that's what you want, Emma?" "I am sure," Emma had said firmly. "Sophia makes you happy, and she makes me happy too. Besides, our house is too big for just 2 people." So Sophia had moved into the guest room, which they quickly converted into a bright, cheerful space filled with her paintings and books. The house that had once felt cold and empty became warm and alive. There was always music playing, always the smell of Sophia's cooking, always the sound of laughter. Marcus's business had thrived under his new approach. The Wellington Foundation had become a model for corporate social responsibility. Other companies had started similar programs. The foundation's work with Lincoln Middle School had been featured in education magazines and news programs. More importantly, Marcus felt fulfilled in a way he never had before. He split his time between running his company and working on education initiatives. He had discovered that making money was satisfying, but using money to help others was deeply rewarding. The wedding had been Emma's idea too. "Why do you not just get married already?" she had asked one morning at breakfast. "You love each other. You live together. You should make it official." Marcus and Sophia had looked at each other across the kitchen table and started laughing. Their 12-year-old daughter had just proposed for them. They had decided to have the wedding at Lincoln Middle School. It seemed like the perfect place. The place where they had met, where their love had grown, where they had built something beautiful together. Now, as Marcus stood at the front of the gymnasium wearing his best suit, he watched Emma walk down the aisle. She was the maid of honor, wearing a bright blue dress and carrying a bouquet of flowers she had grown herself in the school garden. She was beaming with pride and joy. Behind Emma came Sophia, walking with her father. She looked absolutely radiant in a simple white dress that she had chosen with Emma's help. Her dark hair was pulled back with flowers, and she carried a bouquet of roses and baby's breath. As Sophia approached, Marcus felt his breath catch. She was beautiful, but more than that, she looked happy. Truly, completely happy. The ceremony was conducted by Mr. Rodriguez, who had become ordained online specifically for this occasion. The guests included an unusual mix of people: Marcus's business associates sitting next to Sophia's family, students from Lincoln Middle School mixed with members of high society who had come to support Marcus. "We are gathered here today," Mr. Rodriguez began, "to celebrate the marriage of 2 people who found love in the most beautiful way by caring for a child together." Emma stood beside them, holding both of their hands. She had insisted on being part of the ceremony itself, not just watching from the audience. Marcus said his vows first. Sophia, when I met you, I was lost. I had forgotten how to be happy, how to laugh, how to care about anything beyond work and money. You taught me that real wealth comes from love, from family, from using what you have to help others. His voice grew stronger as he continued. You saved my daughter's spirit, and in doing so, you saved mine too. You showed me that the best gifts in life are the ones we give to each other. I promise to love you, to support your dreams, and to be the man you and Emma deserve. Sophia wiped tears from her eyes as she spoke her own vows. Marcus, you taught me that love can grow in the most unexpected places. You showed me that two people from different worlds can build something beautiful together when they share the same values. She looked at Emma, then back at Marcus. You opened your heart to me when you could have stayed closed off in your grief. You used your voice and your resources to fight for my family when you could have stayed silent. You made me believe in dreams I never thought possible. Sophia's voice was steady and strong. I promise to love you and Emma with all my heart. I promise to help you remember every day that success is not about what you achieve for yourself, but about what you give to others. When it came time for the rings, Emma pulled them from a small silk bag. These represent the circle of our family, she said proudly. A circle that has no beginning and no end. Mr. Rodriguez pronounced them husband and wife, and Marcus kissed Sophia as the entire gymnasium erupted in cheers. Emma threw flower petals in the air, laughing with pure joy. The reception was held in the cafeteria, which had been transformed with tablecloths, candles, and student artwork. The food was a mix of cultures, Irish dishes from Marcus's heritage, Guatemalan specialties from Sophia's family, and American favorites that Emma had requested. During dinner, several people gave speeches. Charles Bennett surprised everyone by talking about how Marcus had inspired the entire board to think differently about corporate responsibility. Sophia's mother spoke in Spanish about how proud she was of her daughter, with Emma translating for the English-speaking guests. But the most touching speech came from Lucy and Hannah, Emma's best friends from school. They had prepared a poem about their teacher and how happy they were that she was now officially part of Emma's family. Ms. Reyes taught us that families come in all shapes and sizes, Lucy read. She taught us that love is not about where you come from, but about how you treat each other. And Mr. Wellington taught us that rich does not just mean having money, Hannah added. It means having people you love and people who love you back. As the evening went on, Marcus found himself looking around the room with amazement. A year ago, he had been a lonely billionaire who measured success only in dollars. Now he was surrounded by teachers, students, parents, and community members who had become his extended family. He watched Sophia dancing with her nephew while Emma taught the boy some steps she had learned in school. He saw his business associates talking animatedly with Sophia's parents about education and immigration. He noticed Victoria Ashford helping to serve cake to the students, looking more relaxed and happy than he had ever seen her. Having any regrets? Asked a voice behind him. Marcus turned to see Charles Bennett approaching with a glass of champagne. Not a single one, Marcus said honestly. Good, Charles said, because I have news that might interest you. 3 more companies have contacted us about starting similar education foundations. Your example is spreading. Marcus smiled. That is wonderful news. There is something else, Charles continued. The board wants to make you chairman of the board in addition to CEO. We think your leadership style is exactly what the company needs for the future. A year ago, this news would have been the highlight of Marcus's year. Now it was just one more good thing in a life that had become full of good things. I am honored, Marcus said, but I want to make sure I can still spend time on the foundation work. We would not have it any other way, Charles said. That work is part of what makes you an effective leader. As the party wound down, Marcus and Sophia stood together watching Emma help the younger children clean up. Even at her own parents' wedding reception, Emma was thinking about helping others. She is going to be an amazing woman, Sophia said, following Marcus's gaze. She already is, Marcus replied, just like her mother. Both of her mothers. Sophia leaned against Marcus's shoulder. Do you think Sarah would approve of all this? Marcus thought about his first wife, about the love they had shared and the daughter they had raised together. I think Sarah would be happy that Emma is happy. I think she would love knowing that Emma has another mother figure who cares about her so much. I will never try to replace Sarah, Sophia said quietly. I know, Marcus said, and Emma knows that too. But love does not replace love. It just adds to it. 3 hours later, they were finally alone in their house, their home. Emma had gone to spend the night with Lucy's family, giving the newlyweds some privacy. Marcus and Sophia sat on the couch in the living room, still in their wedding clothes, looking at the photos Emma had taken throughout the day. "Look at this one," Sophia said, showing Marcus a picture of him dancing with Emma. "You both look so happy." "We are happy," Marcus said. "All three of us." Sophia cuddled closer to him. "Marcus, can I tell you something?" "Anything." "When I first met you, I thought you were just another rich man who did not understand real life. I thought you would write a check to make yourself feel better and then disappear." Marcus laughed. "You were not entirely wrong. That is exactly what I planned to do. But you did not disappear. You stayed. You learned. You changed. And you helped me change too." Sophia looked around the room, which now displayed a mix of expensive art and student paintings, family photos and drawings Emma had made at school.